from somewhere.
Yeah. Testing. I think it is. That you got Bob? Zooming. I'm on. Yeah. Thank you.
Ready? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yes, let's call the Parks and Rec meeting. Yours.
Wonderful. Good evening. The first item on the agenda is the Hugie Playground. I just want to provide you guys a quick update. We plan to close the playground the last week in September to allow us to start prepping it. The install date is set for October 23rd, 2023. And we anticipate a reopening early November. The Somerville Ashley River Preserve, phase 1, which included the restroom facility and resurfacing primarily, is coming to a close. We anticipate a substantial completion by end of October. All permits for phase 2, which includes the new fishing pier, boardwalks, and gravel parking lot. All those permits have been submitted. Once those permits are received, which hopefully will be around the first of the year, this project will be put out to bid. Any questions about those? Okay. The next item on the agenda is review of potential design and funding sources for Doty Park Splash Pad. Back in July, we had put out a request for proposals, and those were collected in August. One submittal that came back, it didn't exactly meet our criteria for the RFP, but several members of the selection committee suggested that we explore it further, as they felt it represented substantial savings to the town. So for the last month, that's what I've been doing. And that is what we've been meeting with Great Southern Recreation. What you see on the screen is a proposed design for the splash pad. So I just wanted to share that with council. If council wants to move forward with this, we would be using cooperative purchasing through Sourcewell. As far as funding, we had $150,000 designated in this year's budget for design. We believe turnkey that this project would cost right around $300,000. So to make up that difference, if council wished, we could use park impact fees. But tonight I'm just really looking, to get some feedback from this committee. If that's something that you guys are interested in pursuing. There's still a lot of questions and things that we would need to research. So, yes. It is, I want to say that it is about 50 by 30.
One question too.
Yes,
If you're
50 by 30 feet.
Get the cash to do it, where do you plan to locate it at Doty?
So on the corner where the gazebo sits now, we'll take that gazebo out, and it'll sit right there on the corner.
Is there space to keep the gazebo, but possibly just move it off to the side so that way families have an area to go sit in the shade?
Yes, I mean, it could be positioned somewhere else in Doty. There are a couple of reasons why we selected that location. One of those reasons is, in the future, if we're able to expand that playground down, those two will kind of flow really well together. That green space does get a lot of use, which is why we wanted to kind of protect that green space. We also have some issues with that corner that, kind of clearing some of the trees and the shrubs out of there. Hopefully it would help eliminate some of the unwanted activity that's there as well.
Let me ask you, will this be free or will it be fee-based for the public to use it?
It would be free. And that's one of the things too, knowing, once we finalize the design, we'll know exactly how much, water we would be using. Then we can kind of calculate how much that might cost us to operate it. So it would be free. One of the things that Mr. Jackson and I have talked about is in the future, if we put in some canopies, maybe we could rent like birthday parties, things like that. But the use of the splash pad, it would be free unless council wanted to do something differently.
So I know you're short on the money, but this is a summertime thing, kids to enjoy. So you're looking to get this done by maybe next summer.
Yes, sir. If council wishes, we could move forward with this. Of course, I would have to bring back a formal contract for council to consider in the future. But like I said, we've got the 150,000 earmarked in accommodations. We could pull the additional funds from park impact fees.
Okay, and how long would it take to build this?
I think it would be completely feasible if council wanted to do this, that we could have it open by the spring for next summer.
Well, hope we can get it done. I think it would be some great addition to that area over there. People have a lot of kids out there.
Okay, so what do you want us to do? You want us to just send this to full council?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think what we wanted to do is see if we could get a motion on accepting the concept and moving forward with planning to actually do it. I guess Amy is asking to continue the project with this concept.
Yes, sir. I think if I could get a motion to full council with recommendation for the design, that way Thursday full council could discuss, see if there's any changes that they want, and at least allow me to further have some more discussions so that I could get the information that I need to bring back to you guys with a formal proposal.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I make a motion. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Perfection.
Call the meeting of the Planning Development Committee to order. Ms. Jessie?
Thank you, sir. First item on the agenda is request by the town of Somerville to annex TMS number 15200000269, located along the Sawmill Branch Canal behind 118 Sellers Circle and totaling approximately 1.8 acres, currently zoned TRM in Dorchester County, and will be zoned PL public lands upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. So it would be in Council District 5. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on August 21st, 2023. And just for refresher, this is the property that y'all accepted as a donation. And basically we're just now annexing it into the town and zoning it.
I'll make a motion. We move it forward to full council with a recommendation of approval. I'll second
I'll
that.
second.
Oh, Bob. Oh, sorry, Bob. All
No
in favor?
problem.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Next item on the agenda is discussion of rezoning and annexation public hearing signage. I believe we received an inquiry as to why our signage is not as noticeable as they think it should be, and a question about how that could be addressed. Unfortunately, we go through a lot of these signs because we have to stick them out by the road because they have to be on the road frontage. So this is a standard size sign, which makes it slightly cheaper to get multiples of because they're not having to cut it to a specific size. It's just the size they typically have because most, for sale signs, all that kind of stuff is usually this same size. It is rare that we pick up as many signs as we put out because they're out for about a month. So they either get stolen to be used for other purposes, or they get run over by a lawnmower, or they get run over by a car, or so we do already spend, not a huge amount, but we spend a couple $100 a year probably on these signs. So I'm not sure. And the other issue is we do have to put the date and time of the meeting, and we have to put the TMS number, that information on the sign per our ordinances. So it does have to be something we can erase and write on. So I mean, we could look into other options. I just don't know what the expense would be for a much larger, more noticeable sign. Also, one person has to be able to put it out themselves, which even with these signs is kind of difficult because again, they're right on the edge of the road.
Have you received feedback like this in great quantity, or is this?
No, we occasionally have someone say, hey, it's really hard to read your sign. And we're like, yeah, we understand. That's why we try and make it bigger where it says the rezoning public hearing and have our seal on there. So most people can just go to our website to see what it's about. Rather than having to actually read the full sign. But I mean, we can certainly look at making changes if anybody has any suggestions.
Maybe a QR code or a link that's very clear that maybe could help direct people to the information.
I mean, I think the issue though is people say it's hard to read. And so I don't think you want people stopping on the side of the road trying to do a QR code. And unless there's a sidewalk, which unfortunately on some of these, there's not a sidewalk. So, I mean, we do have the website, but, on there, I don't know.
Seems to me that this is just as much a safety issue as it is anything else. I don't care what the size of the sign is on the side of the road. By and large, I'm supposed to be looking at what's in front of me, not reading the sign on the side of the
Yeah, I
road.
mean, state law
So
requires us to put the signs out.
I
so
know you have to have the sign there, and I think if somebody wants to read it, they're supposed to get
They
the
should
car in a
pull-
position to walk over and read it. That doesn't deal with the size of the sign.
Yeah,
So-
and admittedly, a lot of the people who are most concerned about it are those who may live within the vicinity, walking vicinities, and can see it, not having to be in a car. But we have received complaints before, but we don't receive them in significant numbers.
Well, we send out notices to all adjacent property owners now, correct?
So only
Or
for BAR projects.
Okay, BAR
Yeah,
only.
all our other projects, we do not send out adjacent notices to adjacent property owners.
Okay.
We basically just follow what state law says, which is that you have to post it on every public road frontage, and you have to put it in a newspaper of general circulation.
Okay.
And we also put it on our website.
Well, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
clarifying.
I think that's,
Terry,
yes, sir.
hello? I'd kind of like to see a larger sign. Just because those small signs get kind of covered up by bushes and stuff, and I've missed a couple of them myself and thought about it. So maybe we could see what the cost of it would be to go just one size larger.
I can certainly look into it. Yes. Then
Okay.
we would then have to replace all our signs though, which is probably about 100 signs because we have 5 different boards and we have to put them out for most of them. I don't know. I mean, I can see what the cost is and maybe the next time we buy new signs, because like I said, we do have to buy them somewhat regularly. I can look at going up a size rather than having to replace all of them right now. Because there are times when we have to put out, 20 something signs, depending on what applications we have.
Sounds a reasonable plan and gives you time to get the other information that's needed. So I would say go and do well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
I'll,
you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, so we call the Public Works and Committee on Water Supply committee meeting open. All right. First on the agenda.
Evening. Yeah, we have four agendas on four items on the agenda tonight. First being discussion of a mid-block crosswalk at South Main Street at Southampton Street. There's actually a crosswalk already there, but it's not signed like a typical crosswalk would. I guess the reason is it's usually manned by a SRO or a crossing guard in the mornings and school lets in and out. I think the request was to to sign it. That we understand.
Yes, this crosswalk's used quite frequently by not only students, but also people who are attending games when sometimes we don't have a police presence. And the concern was brought forward that the desire would be to make it as safe as possible since our kids frequent that even when they're out of school at times. The crossing that's across Azalea Park has the rapid flashing beacons and the pedestrian signs. What would be the challenge with having that at this crosswalk that's frequently
I don't
used?
think the signs will be a challenge. The flashing beacons, DOT would require us to do a warrant study to basically count pedestrians, or basically pedestrian traffic count to make sure it meets warrant for the RFBs to be installed. I don't, last time I bought those, I think they were $3,000 for a set of beacons. I'm sure that price is similar today. So I think we could start with getting the signs installed, and if we want to pursue the beacons, we need to do a study for that.
See, that sounds good.
Do we need to make any motion for that to be discussed with full council? Or just ask you to please go ahead and install those signs and
I
then
can make that request to
do the
DOT.
warrant study for us?
We would have to do the warrant study ourselves, and then submit it to DOT.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, is that what you want to do?
please, sir.
Next item is received a quick claim deed request from adjacent property owner for the end of East Third South Street on Gum Street. Several years ago, we actually quit claimed the northern portion of East Third South Street to the 315 South Gum, as you see on the map there. So the south portion, the south adjacent property owner is requesting, I guess, their portion now. So this would basically clean up that area, and we wouldn't have anything left there. So if there's, we need to push this to full council for approval for first reading on Thursday if you want to pursue it.
And I'm sorry, who's requesting it?
The
We are,
property owner to the south, I think their name is Buell,
so that's
Oh.
315 Gum.
00-137-1111-001, that triangular piece,
Oh, okay, I see.
they're requesting it.
Okay, and do we need to move that to full council?
Do you have a recommendation for us? Do you see any concerns?
I don't. The property to the rear is owned by DOT, which is, they bought for mitigation purposes for the parkway, so I don't see any issues.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we move it forward to full council with the recommendation of approval.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
So two of us.
Next item is discussion of a new mid-block crosswalk on West Carolina near Laurel Street. I think Councilman Touchberry, you initiated this one as well.
Yes, sir. So folks in the community here, obviously on Laurel Street, the green section on the map is our park there, Saul Alexander Park. And then where the star is the logical crossing where there's a sidewalk that goes to nowhere. And you have Trinity School and St. Paul's immediately across the street. Well, the children who live in this community and go traverse between Trinity School and Laurel Street Park have no crosswalk to utilize. And since there's a school involved, I understand the concerns and just want to know what our options are because there are no logical intersections. The current sidewalk would direct them to cross at that location where the star is. And that's certainly not safe without warning signs, painted crosswalk, and, you know, hopefully some other way of grabbing attention. Yeah.
I looked at it and in general, I'm against mid-block crosswalks because they're unsafe and we've had deaths occur in Somerville on them, one right here back in 2016. However, if you want something y'all want to pursue, I've looked at raised crosswalks, which is basically a speed table, may work there. We could put RFBs. The West Carolina is a town road, so we would need to do a study. We have the authority to install them if we want to put them up. There is no funding right now for this, so I'm not sure where the funding would come from.
Do we have any sidewalk concepts, sidewalk project concepts on this corridor that were initiated at some point and unfunded?
There is some talk about a sidewalk along West Carolina, basically from Buford Street down to Laurel Street on the right side of that map a couple years ago, but nothing was ever funded for it.
Well, if it's okay with the chairwoman, I would love to have a preliminary kind of concept developed with a cost estimate for further discussion at this location with the raised crossing table and signage.
I agree.
Is that a motion?
I make that motion.
Second. Move it to council at this time. All right, we'll go ahead and make a record.
Council?
So I make the motion that we move it to council.
Second.
Okay.
And we'll vote on it. Yes.
All in favor?
All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
All right.
All right, last item. As you may know, back in January 2021, the town signed a lease with Somerville CPW for a site out on Stokesbridge Road that they own to handle storm debris should we have a storm. So we actually funded the work to be done on that site this year from ARPA funds to clean the site up, grade the site, and build a road to the middle of the site to prepare it for this use. I went out there about a month ago and saw that the site is up for sale by Somerville CPW. I came back, emailed Mr. Kaler, and he told me that in fact the site is up for sale, that there's an interested buyer, and he sent me this sales flyer marketing the site. So since then, we bid the project. We got 5 bids in last week. Low bid was $236,000, but I'm hesitant to spend any money on the site should CBW is going to sell it. So I'm not sure how council wants to proceed with this.
How large was the acreage of the section that we? were going
36
to use?
acres.
And that's the full acreage of the site.
The full acres is 213 acres.
Okay.
They're asking 8,000 an acre, 1.7 million. If we were to pay that, if the town were to pay that, it'd be about $288,000. And the contract, the bids, the lowest bid we got was 236, I believe.
And I'm guessing with the buyer, they were not willing to carve out that section for our leasing.
They might be.
They, no, Can
I make a motion, we move this item to council for further discussion.
and I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn? No, not here. Thursday,
Did you make that a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cornett.
Y'all ready? Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You have before you the August financial report. The first page is a summary. Happy to report there were no real surprises this month. We took in just under $2 million in revenue for the month, bringing our total for the year to 3.9 million. Our expenses, right on target with a little under 16% of the year completed. Total right at $3 million for the year, 7.2 million. So I think we're right on track with budget. I will call your attention to a couple of items that I've mentioned last month with building and grounds. That's showing at 30%, mainly because we paid a 6-month insurance premium in July. So that kind of knocks that up a little bit. Capital expenditures, most of that is a fire department, new fire station, and most of that will get transferred to impact fees in the next month or so. Non-departmental, that included a $50,000 settlement, legal settlement that's in that category. The other income is transfers in from hospitality tax. We're transferring the 200 and almost 92,000 a month for that. Looking at the revenue for taxes, we brought in a little over $200,000. Obviously, most of that is from vehicle taxes. We'll start with getting our real estate taxes later in the year for a total of 371 for the year. License and permits took in a little just under 645,000. Business licenses was a big category. Building permits, I think I had a multifamily development that paid permitting fees and impact fees for the month. So that that increased that line item. Municipal court fines, a little over $18,000 for the month. For year to date, 44,000. Under state revenues, local option sales tax was the largest item. The state got caught up, and basically that represents 2 months, July and August, for a little over 500,000 in that category. And our first installment of aid to subdivisions from the state, 313,000 came in. Next. Under miscellaneous revenue, of course, we have our interest income of 134,000. We also have our normal items, but our Parks and Rec items with Gahagan Field and league fees and revenue from the Rollins Edwards Community Center. All those items are a little above, tracking a little bit above budget at this point. And again, our transfers in is the local hospitality tax. Any questions on that? Any of those sections? Okay. All right, the next report is the impact fees. As you can see, we did get $23,000 this month in Parks and Rec impact fees. That is directly related to a multifamily development. Of course, that carries over to fire and municipal impact fees for residential properties for a total of 172,000 year to date. Commercial properties, we received fire and municipal to total 214,000 year to date in that category. Have any expenses in Parks and Rec and fire at this point. We have some rolling equipment that we purchased according to the budget for around 215 in the municipal impact fees for a net of 170 for the year. Any questions there? Okay, next we have hospitality and local accommodations. Those numbers are tracking the way we kind of expected to. We collected 533,000 this month for hospitality for just over $1 million year to date. Our expenses, which does include the transfer to general fund, totaled 781,000 for the year. We budgeted $6 million in revenue, so we have collected 17% of our annual allocation. Next. The last one is stormwater. Of course, the revenues for this fund will not come in till later in the year. Our expenses for the period are 148,000 for a year to date of 302, 14% of our total allocation. So we expect that to continue on until our revenues arrive in December, January. Any questions about anything? Report. Thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. No questions for Rhonda. Thank you, ma'am.
Under financial requisitions, number 1, authorization to issue a purchase order to Coast Construction Group in the amount of $228,341.14 for the construction of a sidewalk along West First North Street, funding to come from CDBG funds.
Make a motion that we approve this.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Brown,
Yeah.
I do need to make one slight correction. So we only had 174,699 budgeted in CDBG. So we're gonna break that 228. So it'll be 100, excuse me, 74,699 from CDBG and then 53,643 to come from budgeted capital.
It'll still do the same amount of sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Brown's got a motion on the floor. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Motion carry.
All right.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to Mini Mixer LLC in the amount of $33,600 for a 2-yard concrete mixer, 11,200 to come from stormwater fund balance, 11,200 to come from municipal impact fees, and 11,200 to come from Parks and Rec impact fees. The mixer will be assigned to and operated by the street department.
May I motion?
Make a motion. We approve this purchase.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, and any discussion? We talked about this at the last meeting. No, here, no discussion. All in favor, signify by raising right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise, the ayes carry.
Number three, to issue a purchase order in the amount of plus or minus $55,292.25 to MES for the purchase of 15 sets of turnout gear. Shipping cost is not included. The request is from the fire department and funds are to come from budgeted operating funds.
Make a motion that we approve this issue. Motion
Second.
made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this signify by raising the right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed
Aye.
likewise, the ayes carry.
Number four, authorization to issue a purchase order to Blanchard Machinery in the amount of $129,343 for a Caterpillar 420 backhoe. This is on state contract. The funds to come from Parks and Rec impact fees. The request is from the Parks and Recreation Department.
No motion?
We approve this purchase.
Second? Second. Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise. Motion carried.
Number five, authorization to issue a change order to Southeast Pipe Survey in the amount of $40,860 to add 180 feet of 24-inch CIPP liner to a current estimate for work in the Scotts Mill subdivision. Funds to come from stormwater fund balance.
Motion we approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed
Aye.
likewise. Motion carried. Bob, you're running late. Okay, surplus accounts, Ms. Beth.
Surplus request number one, authorization to declare the fire department's 1993 Pierce Arrow fire engine as surplus and to further authorize the sale of this vehicle.
Make a motion, we give authorization, and it's hard to believe that these fire trucks only last 30 years.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raise your right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed
Aye.
likewise. Motion carried.
Number two, authorization to declare WT 126 pipe hunter combination sewer vac jetter trailer from the stormwater department as surplus and to further authorize the sale of that equipment, the proceeds to go to stormwater fund balance.
Motion,
Motion to authorize.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Likewise. Motion carried.
Under miscellaneous, number one, authorization to enter into a contract with Creech and Associates for architectural services for municipal public safety facilities.
Okay, motion,
I'll make a motion, we enter into this contract.
I second that.
okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise.
Aye.
Ayes carry.
Number two, consideration of revised fund balance policy.
Motion,
We're going to explain it.
I'm happy to explain it. We've talked about this a few times over the last 6 months or so. You have before you kind of a presentation of what 6/30/22 would look like. We've kind of covered this before too. The main difference in this policy is the terminology. We had committed for general government is how what we have phrased the previous policy. This policy refers to as unassigned. Our rating agencies had a really tough time understanding that committed for general government wasn't, you know, a $7 million project that we had going on somewhere down the street. So that was what our intention was, but it just didn't come out like that. So the definitions are more consistent with what they're looking for. We also increased the disaster and recovery amount. We had $3 million. We increased that to 5 million. I think we got input from all of you that 5 million was probably a little more in line of what we needed to set aside for that purpose. I wanted to make the distinction that because the unassigned, is not segregated, we basically have a target unassigned, which is 30% of revenues, which is the just over $11 million based on 6/30/22. That is the dollar amount of what we're really using to get us from July 1 to December 30th as far as cash flow. That is what we're looking at to turn that. And I did put a note down there that our FY24 budget did include a use of fund balance of a little over $2 million for capital expenditures. Any questions, observations? The audit report this year will be based on our previous fund balance, but will include a note to the financials regarding this policy once it's approved and how it would be presented and how it would look. So should I need to explain that to rating agencies, we'd have the information in the audit report that supports that.
Just need a motion to adopt that policy that reflects policy.
We do need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
The new policy.
We've got a motion to adopt the new
Second.
policy. Second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Ayes carry.
Aye.
Aye. And motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute. Couple of things that we discussed in the committee meetings.
We'll add those to the agenda on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be on Thursday
Okay.
night's agenda.
All right. Sorry, I wanted to get it over with.
It'll be on Thursday's agenda.
I'm with you, did you?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we don't have any executive session. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise.
Aye.